Hey, welcome back. Today we're going to be talking about how to gear up insanely fast in pre-patch Wrath of the Lich King Classic. But first, we are doing a special Wrath of the Lich King, a beta key giveaway soon, so if you want to be entered for a chance to win, make sure you like this video and you are subscribed to the channel for when we start giving them away to subscribers only. Alright, let's get started. The first tip on how to gear up insanely fast in Wrath pre-patch is from Quartermasters from the following reputations. Either Honor Hold Thrallmar, Sha'tar, Cenarion Refuge, Keepers of Time, and the Lower City. Now, Honored is all you need for a full set of level 70 PvP gear, which includes the chest piece, gloves, helm, legs, and shoulders. Now, each of these pieces comes with resilience, stats, it's got a nice set bonus. It's awesome to be able to hit max level and immediately have a full set of gear, especially if you're a class like a shaman or a paladin, and you leveled, let's say, like Enhance or Retribution. You can go and buy the full set of Resto or Holy Gear or Elemental or Prot, whatever you want, and you're already off to a great start on playing the spec you want at max level, even if it's a different spec than that which you leveled from. So that is really, really cool. If you ever wanted to switch at max level, go for these pieces of gear. When it comes to these PvP set armors, each of them is sold by a different vendor, so you get a different slot depending on what vendor, like even depending on your class. So if you're a warlock, you get your chest from one reputation, but if you're a paladin, you get your chest from a completely different reputation. So I recommend you go check out the link in the description below. I'm actually going to post a link to all of the set gear so you can figure out exactly where you need to go in order to get your item. For warlock, it's called Dreadweave Battle Gear, Satin Battle Gear for priest, and it's also called Mooncloth Battle Gear for priest, depending on what spec you are, but it's all going to be in the description below for you to check out and know exactly where to go to pick up this gear. However, really important here, there is no PvP set made for Death Knights, only every other class besides them, right? Keep in mind, TVC was designed to not include Death Knights. I mean, this is also a great, point for me to mention that there's no tier set tokens for Death Knights either. So if you plan to raid within the 2 to 6 week pre-patch period, you're not going to have any tokens that you can go turn in at like the Sha'tar Artifact Keeper if you're a Scryer, for example. You can't get tier sets. There's no tier sets for Death Knights in TBC. So keep that in mind. Now, if you're a Paladin or a Death Knight tank, getting Revered, which is a little bit further than Honored, with the Keepers of Time while you're leveling is a great idea, for example, because you can get Time Warden's leggings, which are great for both. If you're a Prot Paladin, the Continuum Blade is also available and a great item from the Keepers of Time. And now, the reason I mention this is because it's like a little rarely known secret. A cool trick of getting revered super fast with Keepers of Time is to grind Old Hillsbred until you're honored, then turn in the attunement quest that you just did from Old Hillsbred to be able to enter Black Morass, which will give you 3,000 reputation. So you're honored, you just hit honored, turn in that quest finally, then go do 1 Black Morass, and that quest awards 8,000 reputation, which will grant you revered from a single Black Morass run. So this means all you have to do is a couple extra Old Hillsbred runs till you get honored, then do those 2 quests, so you get to do less Black Morass runs instead. Depends on what class you are, like rogues probably are okay running Black Morass a bunch of times, right? But you know what, it just, that's my little trick. If you want to go ahead and get reputation super fast, that's a very quick way to do it. Wait till you're honored till you turn in those 2 quests. Now, this is just one example of Quartermaster gear being very, very powerful. Just getting that reputation and having access to some gear you can just go buy. Now, another great method for gearing up is through quests. There are a ton of quests which reward your pre-raid best in slot item. Now, in the description, I'll post a link to a list of all classes pre-raid best in slot gear you can go after, along with the stats of the item. It's going to be super helpful, I believe. Death Knight, however, is not going to be on that list, so I recommend hitting the subscribe button because I'll be making a Death Knight gearing guide right after this. Now, pay attention to this pre-raid BIS list and see which dungeons you can get gear from. It's a good idea to farm those dungeons specifically because you're going to be getting reputation, that gear you're after, and you're also going to get experience all at the same time. So it's a really great bang for your buck, you know, great way to spend your time while you're still leveling. This is also a great idea because heroic dungeons are a seamless way to get even more gear, and of the current patch, you only need to be honored in order to do heroics in TBC. Now, you previously had to be revered to access the heroic version of the dungeon, but that has been changed. Now it is much easier to get into heroics. Once you unlock heroic dungeons, it's a great idea to start running them instead of the normal version once you can, since the normal version loot will still drop in the heroic version in addition to the heroic loot, and you'll also start picking up badges of justice off of every single boss and a nether vortex at the end. So make sure when you're doing heroics to pick up the heroic daily quest too, since that's an extra 2 more badges of justice, and a lot of people will be doing that dungeon, and finding a group will be so much easier for that daily heroic dungeon. Now once you're at this point, you could also start raiding Karazhan, Gruul's Lair, Magtheridon's Lair. These are all pretty easy, and these are also sources of more badges of justice, especially Karazhan because of how many bosses there are. If you can get into Zul'Aman, this is a great catch-up 10-man raid, which you can do every 3 days, not once a week, so it's very accessible. It also has very good gear. And as an added bonus, as of Phase 5, new Badge of Justice gear is available, and it is very strong, so you can very quickly get this gear after farming your heroics and or Karazhan for badges, and skip all the way ahead and go straight to some of the harder raids like Black Temple or Mount Hyjal to continue to fill any gaps in your gear. So that's a super hidden, super secret tip for you. Badge gear is super good, and you should go after it. Now, aside from all of these options, you can also go after BOE gear and crafted gear. There's a ton of good items that are BOE and TBC, and if you have the gold and want to gear up super fast, you can skip a lot of the work and just go straight to buying epic BOE gear that's super strong. For example, if you're planning on making a plate-wearing warrior, death knight, or paladin, the Hardcorium Band, the Hardcorium Battle Fists, the Swift Steel Bracers, and the Red Belt of Battle are all bind on equip epic items that are very strong that you can just buy outright at level 70. Now it's going to cost you a epic amount of gold in order to get all these. I mean, depending on your server, but it's going to cost you a lot, I bet. But if you have that gold, you can get a massive instant boost to your gear absolutely immediately once you hit max level, and it's going to be very strong, and it can also be very helpful if you're aiming for any type of world first achievements on your new pre-patch character. But if you're not one of those 3 classes, definitely check out your class's BIS list, best in slot list, and I'm sure you'll find some BOEs that you can buy and that are super good for your class. Now, when it comes to crafted gear, engineering is my all-time top recommendation for Wrath of the Lich King pre-patch. You've got really strong epic goggles you can make. Regardless of what class you're playing, there is an epic goggles for you, and they're extremely strong. They're definitely going to be probably your best in slot, even during raid. And since pre-patch Wrath is only 2 to 6 weeks and you have Wrath right around the corner, you're really setting yourself up for success and having the strongest profession, because in Wrath, engineering is the #1 best profession for both PvP and PvE, in my opinion. And so you are basically setting yourself up to have the best profession ready to go for when Wrath launches in just a few weeks. So overall, these are my recommendations. Now, none of this even matters if you haven't decided what class you want to play in Wrath of the Lich King Classic. So click the video above my head and watch my comprehensive class picking guide if you haven't decided what class you want to play yet in Wrath. And I will see you there. Take care.